The Lost World Jurassic Park for PlayStation 1.
So wait, what is that your most nostalgic thing from the Jurassic Park series? Is the Lost World video game?
No. There's probably a lot of the toys would be nostalgic for me. That game's soundtrack, that game's holographic cover. I don't know if you guys in the UK got a holographic cover for your version, but we did.
No, I don't think so.
Did you get one for the Lost World movie for the VHS?
I think so. I forget what they call that now. It's got a really long name where they have like you move the image and it like sort of moves. I think there was one. There was one for Jurassic Park.
Oh wow!
But I think it was the 3D version, and that came out like only a few years ago, so not really nostalgic really at this time.
Okay, definitely. The soundtrack for The Lost World on PlayStation. That for me brings back a ton of memories instantly. More so than any of the other games, even the old 8-bit and 16-bit games.
Yeah, nostalgia is a lot of it's unique to the fan, is what I've found.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
You know, as we're going to discuss, there's like you know, for me, the lime green is from the Lost World's marketing, which is something we actually both share. And I think there's a lot of Jurassic fans out there who they see that lime green cover and it just takes you right back to that time period, because that was everywhere. Like with the fern bushes as well. I remember in the UK there was these like what do they call them? Popposauruses. They're like bits of card that they were flat, but when you pushed them, an image of a dinosaur came out, and it had like facts on it. And they were in like crisps and stuff, so we'd be eating them, and then you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got one." And I had them all at one point. They've all gone now. I think I've only got one left.
I think what makes it so nostalgic was it was the promise that the dinosaurs would be out of their fences when this movie was coming out. It was like we're going on an exploring adventure safari type thing.
Call it a lost world.
But I had a poster in my room at the time that was electronic. It was of the T-Rex family, of the male and female and the baby, and you pressed the button and you could hear them roar. I had that hanging on my wall back in like 1998 or 9.
How big was that? I've never heard of this, so I'm curious because I'm like trying to picture it and I can't.
Let's see if I can find it. I actually just saw it on eBay for sale for like $150.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Oh, you know what else I saw on eBay?
Go on.
The first introduction of the Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park was not the Lost World's toy.
Oh.
It was in 1994. They were selling posters for the movie, and on one of the posters was the Spinosaurus.
What was it? What, for the Lost World or Jurassic Park?
No, for the original Jurassic Park. This is 1994. Let me see if I can look this up.
Oh man, if you get that up, I'll throw it up in the video.
Yeah, Spinosaurus, Jurassic Park, 1994 images.
The Spinosaurus, the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park. What?
This is in 94.
Wow. You don't mind if I put this in the video?
No, go ahead.
Your discovery.
I was thinking about buying it because I'm decorating my office.
That'd be kind of
cool.
like
all these Jurassic Park posters, and then I've got on the other, like I've got Phantom Menace, Batman Returns, the 3 Indiana Jones movies, Godzilla '98, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. But like, I looked at this, I was like, nobody has ever seen this shit, and if they have, then like if they got it back in the day.
Fascinating.
Because back then, could you imagine if, because no one talked about Spinosaurus as far as Jurassic Park until the third movie, so it's pretty interesting.
Where has that been hiding?
I wonder if Jurassic Collectibles has this. I wonder if he's got one.
Yeah, he might do. Or he might. I bet. I can probably almost guarantee he's seen it.
Probably, yeah.
Ooh, this Lost World Field Guide looks cool. Sorry, I've just found something else. Okay, so one thing we were talking about before we started recording was the opening of the VHS tapes. And for me, like my most nostalgic thing from the franchise, like genuinely nostalgic, is the 1994. Oh no, not 1994. Got that in my head now because that poster. The 1997 VHS Lost World opening in the UK. The Mercedes advert, the THX logo, and then just go straight into the film.
I can remember going to the store with my aunts and uncles, and they were like, "Look, Klayton, Jurassic Park 2," and I was like, "What?" And they handed that to me because I wasn't allowed to see it in theaters. Like, I used to go to theaters all the times, but it was always like Pocahontas or The Nutty Professor.
Yeah,
they never took me to see something like this, and they knew. Like the trailers made it look like it was scarier, and so I was like, "What?" And they gave it to me when it came out on VHS. I remember going home and watching it and being terrified of the trailers over the cliff scene. That scared the shit out of me.
Amazing. Yeah, I remember the first time getting it on VHS when I was a kid, and this is part of the nostalgic list that I have in my head. One of the memories was watching the Lost World tape for the first time near Christmas, and my nan would not shut the hell up. She was just talking about like life and stuff that people talk about. And as a kid, I was like, I've waited a year for this. I was like, please be quiet. And I'm sitting so close to the TV, and my nan's laughing, and I'm just like, oh god. Yeah, so whenever, and this happens every time, whenever I like watch that tape now on, like the things I remember are the opening Mercedes commercial and my nan not she's constantly talking, which makes me laugh because they're only linked to Jurassic Park via the fact that it's because of this tape and like obviously Mercedes being the prop, making the prop cars for the film and stuff. So it's like, it's interesting that it's not actually something specifically Jurassic that gets my nostalgic levels rising. It's more like things around it that happened, or like just colors, like the whole lime green thing.
Yeah,
the color green is nostalgic to me, but like the weird thing is I don't get nostalgic for Jurassic Park. Like the merchandise from Jurassic Park, or the orange, the sunset over the trees, all that stuff. Yeah, like loads of people do. Like it's. I hear everyone saying that's like what they're saying with the new Mattel Fallen Kingdom stuff. Is that like it reminds them of that because it's got the orange glow. And for me, I don't know. I've never felt the pinch of nostalgia from that packaging. If I see it, I'm just like, yep, that's what it looked like. But the Lost World one, that gets me. I'm like, oh man, that takes me right back. And it's so weird.
I think it was so highly sought after and publicized, that sequel. Like it was an event, but it was also, even as a kid, I knew that it was going to be like vastly different than the last movie. Just because of the way that they were doing it, a service and marketing was like, this is, I think I mentioned to you, I mentioned this to you earlier, that was Jurassic Park with no fences. So basically, dinosaurs, it's in their ball court now. The lime green, it's jungle, it's warning, caution. And when they played it up, everyone was excited to see, like, what is this going to be about? And even as a kid, I can remember seeing 2 T-Rexes in the promotional stuff. I was just like, oh shit. This is about to be awesome.
See, I didn't know there was 2 T-Rexes in the film.
Really?
Until even as a kid, it didn't click. My vivid memory of the movie, of seeing it in the cinema, like the only thing I vividly remember is Dieter Stark jumping over the log and getting eaten by the compies. Like I can see it in my head. Like I put myself right back there. But I also remember before the film, and I have to go back to different areas of nostalgia in my mind to like kind of unlock other parts of what went on back then for myself. So like I remember seeing the official Souvenir magazine, which I still have. I've made a video on it on my channel. And there was a picture of the T-Rex loose in in San Diego in there.
Oh, really? They gave that away?
Yeah. Spoilers were still rampant back then. So, like, I remember seeing that and going, oh my god, the T-Rex. Thinking it's the T-Rex, thinking it's the T-Rex from the first film.
One.
Yeah, thinking, oh my god, it gets out into the city. Oh my god, this is going to be crazy. And then I get into the film, and obviously the only thing I remember is D Stack running over the log, but I remember not knowing anything about two T-Rexes. So it must have been when the T-Rex's head came down the trailers that I was just like, I'm dumbfounded by what I saw.
That's so crazy that they gave away the Sandy, because...
Yeah, I think it's definitely in, it's either that magazine or it was another one, but it was in the same post office that I saw this book. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. They gave some, I'm just trying to think, so it was either the Souvenir magazine or it was the Making of the Lost World book, which obviously that would give it away.
Well,
but I'm just double checking the...
That's so insane to me, though, because I didn't know that was coming until, obviously, when I saw the movie.
Let's see, I've got it here now. Yeah. No, I'm mixing a memory here. There is a whole section, because in this Souvenir magazine it tells the whole story of the film. Damn. Like in basically bite-sized chunks. And there's this whole thing called Metropolis Under Siege. And it talks about the T-Rex being loose in San Diego. So I read it. There is a picture of a T-Rex here, but not in San Diego. There's a bit where it talks about the T-Rex in a city, and I'm getting it confused with a picture that was in the Making of book. But it definitely has a whole page. I'll throw it up in the video. It has a whole page about it. So I read that, or like I got the gist of it when I was like 8 at the time. And I was like,
well, damn.
Oh my god, it goes to the city.
I could never imagine going into the movie knowing it goes to San Diego. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, I remember feeling a little bit like, oh man, I wish I didn't know that. Even back then. But at the same time, you know, you're still getting it. So it's like, yeah, awesome.
Oh yeah, I would have been pumped, but...
cool. Any other nostalgic thing that you can think of? Like,
jeez, my god, there's honestly so many. I had a Lost World Jurassic Park kite that I got stuck in a tree.
Oh no!
Yeah, I got it stuck in a tree. It was of the two Velociraptors fight in the movie, and then it was so funny. The next year, I got a Godzilla 1998 kite that I let go of and just floated away.
It sounds like you did that on purpose. Like,
no, I didn't. I liked that movie when it came out. That, for all intents and purposes, was Jurassic Park 3 until the third movie came out.
Yeah. Oh man, I had a Starburst magazine of Godzilla 98, and I really, really, really wish. I thought I still had it, but I can't find it anywhere. And it's got a shot of the baby Godzillas walking out from the light after the guy's just shot the door. You know, in the film when he shoots the door and they all block the bullet holes. And the caption underneath it says, "Look, it's Jurassic Park 3." And then it says, "Oops, no, actually it's Godzilla." Like, I
did that a lot.
Like,
Back in the day, I can remember all those rumors for Jurassic Park 4. You know what? That actually makes me nostalgic. All the Jurassic Park 4 rumors.
That is one of the reasons I was wanting to have this conversation. Because I get comments under my Mysterious Islands video.
Yeah, that's a great video, by the way.
Thank you.
That's one of my favorite videos of Jurassic Park, anything.
Well, that was born from the nostalgia I have for... I can't remember if I actually say it in the documentary, or like in the video, but like that whole time period is one of the most nostalgic things.
Very sad period, though, isn't it? It
is, but it's bittersweet now because I know how it ends. I'm like, yeah, this is great. So like going back to those periods, it's almost like like everyone loves drama. That's why news sells so well, and bad news at that. So like the whole down period of the Jurassic franchise is now one of the most interesting and nostalgic things for me. And the mystery continues as well. That's the thing, that not all the details have surfaced, so there's still a lot of intrigue there.
It's interesting for me because I was reading on articles on the internet, in magazines, and all that stuff, of all the latest information. And it was always different. It was never the same. It was always, Keira Knightley is going to be playing Lex Murphy, Alan Grant and Nick Van Owen are going to return, Ellie Sattler is going to show up, Ian Malcolm and Richard Attenborough are coming back.
Yeah.
Then it was, they're going to militarize the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I can remember telling my dad, it's so funny, like every time I would talk to my dad about Jurassic Park 4, he'd be like, "Oh, it's coming out." And I'd be like, "Yeah, Dad, it's on the way."
Yeah, but I did that with Mum all the time. I was like, "Mum, there's a little bit of news." She's like, "Yep. Okay."
And yeah, like it got to the point, I think in 2008, where my dad was like, "So are they going to make it?" I was like, "Shut up, they're going to do it." Hoping against hope.
Yeah.
That whole period of time I loved. Like looking back on it.
Yeah, we love it now, not at the time.
Yeah.
At the time it was like, no come on.
But I love it now because it was literally 14 years. So
yeah, and it seemed, so there'll be people out there, I don't even know if they'd be listening to this far in, these types of people, but there are people out there who won't understand, just simply on the fact that they weren't the same age or at the time, because
right, they weren't
like
the people that grew up on the
when you're younger, time seems to move slower. So like when we're younger and we're waiting for something, 14 years is a long time. Now for me, 14 years doesn't seem that long. So I'm like, okay, could I feel that nostalgic about something if I had to wait 14 years again now? It doesn't. It feels like, okay, that it's a long time, but I'm sure that I wouldn't feel the wait as long, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing I'll say about that, though, is I think what really makes it feel like a really long when we look back at it, like how we were looking at it as kids, the world changed drastically between 2001 and 2015. Because that was pre 9/11, I think. Jurassic Park 3 was right before all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And like just the advent of smartphones.
Yeah, well, that all kicked off in between. The world became like, well, I don't want to use the word unified as in like it's all good, because clearly it's not. But but like unified as in like you and I can have a conversation like this and not be limited by an ocean. Or expensive phone bills.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nostalgia for me. Like, I have a funny relationship with it in terms of Jurassic, because like I was saying to you earlier, I find it very difficult to get nostalgic about Jurassic when characters go to places like the Visitor Center in Jurassic World, or Larry with his shirt. I can't. There's people I know and who saw that and went, "Wow, yeah, oh god, I remember that." Yeah, like they got nostalgic about it. But for me, I'm never away from this franchise enough to get that feeling. So when like Zach and Gray went into the Visitor Center, for me it felt similar to like perfect example. It felt similar to when Nick Van Owen backed into the mural in the worker village, and you hear the theme tune just bubble, and you see the painting of the park with the cars, and it's like, were people back in 1997 saying, "God, that was so nostalgic to see that again"? It's like they weren't, because they realized that it was just the continuation of like what they'd just seen a few years prior. And because in those 14 years, for me, I never really left Jurassic. I was obsessed with it just as pretty much as what I am today. So like I was, I didn't feel the nostalgia when they went back into the Visitor Center. I was like, yep, there it is.
Yeah, similar for me too.
But a Mercedes commercial can really get my nostalgic levels rising. And that's where the weird relationship for me takes place.
Do you have any nostalgic feelings towards Jurassic Park 3 marketing or promotional or anything?
Yeah. Oh my god, I have loads. The first image or hint of Jurassic Park 3 I ever saw is on my list of 10. I might do an actual list video other than this,
Okay.
but like a top 10 most nostalgic things. It is in there. Probably spoil it now. This will probably come afterwards if I can get it out in that time frame. But it's the picture of the Spinosaurus' snout looming over the plane end, and there's like Tierney Loney's like almost front and center of the picture, and they're all like leaning back as the big animatronic snout, and you can't see the head fully. It's only like the lower jaw and just the front of its snout. And I saw it in a magazine. I could be wrong. It might have been Empire magazine. Let me see if I can find it quickly.
Yeah, because I don't remember that being in a magazine back in the day.
And I saw this and I was like, oh my god! Like, one, I thought, how the hell are these characters going to get out of this situation? And then two, I thought, what the hell is that dinosaur? Because it didn't say. There was no caption or anything to say like what that dinosaur was. Let me just see. Yeah, you should be getting it out. It was that.
That was the image?
That was the first thing I ever saw of Jurassic Park 3, and I kid you not, I shit the bed. I was like, wow. I was like, that looks awesome. What is that creature? Is it like a giant crocodile? Is it it's definitely not a T-Rex. I was like, what is that? And they're in a plane, so I was like, okay, so they get to the island on a plane. I was like, how are they going to get out of this situation? But obviously, you know, we know how I've voiced my thoughts on Jurassic Park 3 enough already. But that time I was like, yeah, that's I'm really excited for that. And then I was in Spain on holiday, and then my mum was reading a newspaper, and she hands me this. She cuts a bit out and hands it to me. She goes, "Jack, you might like this." And it's a picture of Alan Grant surrounded by the Raptors.
Oh yeah, that would have sent me over the.
Yeah, and the paper she was reading was in English, so it had a little caption saying like Jurassic Park 3's rap production or something like that. And I was like, oh my god! I was like, oh, this is real, because for the longest, I remember there being quite a long period of time between seeing the Spinosaurus snout in the plane and that image. So I thought, oh, you know, was that like, have they completed it? I haven't heard anything. I've only seen this one brief Spinosaurus image, and even then I didn't buy the magazine, so it's only in my memory now. So I'm like, I was imagining things. So that feeling of like that whole period is very nostalgic to me for Jurassic Park 3. Oh wait, you cut out again. Sorry.
I thought it was fun the first time I saw it. It took me about a year until I became like a lot of other fans.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's one of those ones I still watch it today, and I'm like, I'm disappointed, but at the same time, I'm like, actually, this, you know, there's a way this can still work. So
I'm not ashamed of it or anything. It's just
ashamed of it. You're like, no, don't show people you like Jurassic Park. That means you must like Jurassic Park 3.
Dude, some people said that to me. Like,
brilliant.
Before the new movie came out, that's what it was. Because I was telling people, I was like, dude, why are you not getting excited for Jurassic World? And then like we would be over at their house like drinking beers or something. Jurassic Park 3 would come on.
That's why.
Yeah, and they would be like, I would feel embarrassed because I'd be like, no, turn on Lost World. Do you have any predictions for how kids of today will perceive how their nostalgia will be for the new Jurassic World movies?
It'll be different, 100%. And it sounds obvious to say, but the reason for that is because Jurassic Park tends to be a lot of nostalgia towards the convincing effects, and it was a lot of the nostalgia for the first film comes from being absolutely amazed and wowed by what it brought to cinema, and rightly so. Whereas Jurassic World, while I might argue that there are certain shots and scenes in that film that specifically brought to the table, in my opinion, things that like are the equivalent of that in today's market. I don't know if it will have the same effect as that, because you know the effects are everywhere. Effects are powerhouse movies, so like the kind of impact of special effects isn't the same. You know,
right?
So I think the nostalgia for Jurassic World, I mean, props to people like Matt Brando and that. I think a lot of the nostalgia for the Jurassic World fans will be coming from the takeover of Mattel. I think that'll be one of the things that they'll look back on and be like, yeah, do you remember when we had these bad toys and then they brought out those new ones and oh my god, they were so good.
Yeah, good point.
I can imagine that being an area of their nostalgia, not so much the like they'll probably like the films and like remembering, going to see them as kids, which, is a given. But like I think that it'll be influenced more so by like the actual experience around the films as well. I mean, I'll go.
I think they might actually remember the overarching trilogy, the Jurassic World trilogy, as a story. Whereas if you ask like Jurassic Park, when I say that, I mean like people like us, the older fans, it's usually nostalgia for Jurassic Park and then nostalgia for The Lost World and then nostalgia for Jurassic Park 3. It's not like a unified thing, really. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't because they're all...
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think I fall into that category. I mean, I have nostalgia for each individual film for different reasons. There's a couple of things that overlap, like I said, like the reaction to all the films. I have sort of nostalgia for that, and that is like an umbrella over all three of the other films. But I think like what you're saying, kids they're gonna remember this as the trilogy. It reminds me of a little bit of the Star Trek movies. You have Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a trilogy.
Yeah, they don't count the original.
No, they do. Like they're like the original. The trilogy isn't meant to be like Wrath of Khan is number one. The first film is the motion picture, but the actual storyline of that trilogy begins in part 2 and ends in part 4, and then obviously it all continues on in the later films. And I feel like if they are going to continue with future films after Jurassic World 3, if they ever do, it might be like that. It might be looked at like that. It's like, oh yeah, there's you've got this big world.
That's a good point.
But the story trilogy is in the 4, 5, and 6. Weirdly enough,
that's a good point. I never even thought of that.
That's the way I see it going. That's just a prediction. I don't know if that's because I have no idea what Universal's planning on doing, or if they'll even get the license if it does go back to the Crichton estate after.
They will. Or if
I hope they do.
if they don't, then Amblin will.
I actually get nostalgic for things from Jurassic World.
Already? It's only been 3 years.
Yeah, it's more like personal things, like the first ever trailer they released.
Oh yeah.
What that music, that boom, 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 boom. That trailer, I watched that back now, and I'm like, God, that brings the feels back. Because that was the first time properly, even the 15-second long teaser for the trailer that came out before that just had the doors opening to the elevator. Like, that takes me back 3 years ago, straight back there to that moment when I clicked on it and I went, I am seeing footage from Jurassic Park 4. Holy shit. And that cemented instantly in my mind that this is going to be a fine little moment of nostalgia for me going forward. Because whenever I watch those back now, I'm like, remember when it was done? The wait was over. Do you remember that feeling? Wasn't it good?
I can remember when that teaser, when the 15-second like little commercial came on the internet. At that time, I knew it was about to drop. And I would, at that time, I would pick up my sister from high school. So here comes me. This is in 2015. I'm in like a beat up Jeep with like a weird grill on the front of it, sitting out in the parking lot of a high school. People are looking at me weird. I have my phone up to my face. I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen the Paddock in Jurassic Park before. Like, it's just walking by. And I can remember getting really freaked out because my phone was about to die. So I have to drive all the way to another city, like plug it in to where I was staying and like watch it proper. But the trailers for Jurassic World were really good, especially the last one, the global international trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
I was always going to see the movie, obviously, but that last one was the one where it's like, oh my god, this might be... They actually... They took their time to throw
You did
money
it.
into this.
You crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they're taking it like legitimately seriously. Like, I was very happy with it. I'll never forget going to that theater, sitting down, being like, man, if this is a 3 out of 5, if this is like mediocre, I'll be fine. I'll be happy. And by the end of the movie, I was so, and the whole theater was just like, oh my god, that was incredible.
It sounds like a kind of defeated approach, but I was just like, as long as it's better than Jurassic Park 3.
That's what I was thinking.
That as long as it's 2 hours and got no dream sequences in it, I'll be fine. Yeah. I'll be fine. But yeah, there's a trailer for Jurassic Park 3. One of the ones where the guy doing the voiceover was like, I'll do the impression of his voice, but I want to make sure what I'm saying is right.
In this forbidden place.
Yeah, man, you're bringing it back now.
It's not just a walk in the park.
Oh wait, that's a movie clip. Let me see if I can find it.
But in this forbidden place.
Wait, where does he say it?
It could almost be paradise.
That's it. Where he goes, it starts. He goes, "It could almost be paradise."
Yeah.
Like that trailer. I remember seeing that when the film had been out, it'd been gone, but this trailer kept playing on Sky Movies. They kept it they would play like trailers for films that are coming to Sky Movies, and I remember this was before. Obviously, I had it on VHS. We just got Sky Cable, and we're like, oh my god! Like I was like, I kept watching it, and I kept waiting for all these other trailers. Ones for like cats and dogs. There was one for Spider-Man, trailers like that, and then the Jurassic Park 3 trailer. And they kept repeating these like trailers over and over again, so I had to wait through all of them. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, oh man, I can't wait. Even though I'd just been disappointed from seeing it in the cinema, I still was excited for it on VHS. But the trailer, I need to find this trailer. There's a specific Jurassic Park 3 trailer, and this is the weird thing about what I find with nostalgia, is there's this specific Jurassic Park 3 trailer, because that old trailer that we were saying, it could almost be paradise, that trailer doesn't really make me nostalgic anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
Because
it's cool, but
yeah. But there's one trailer that I'd only seen on, I believe it's on like a documentary thing from way back, and I don't know if I've got it.
Is it one of the ones that they play on like a TV Guide channel, like while you're waiting?
Yeah, it's like a... Oh, it's really, really difficult to put into words, but it's like it really sums the film up. It makes the film look so cool, and I'm like, oh man, like that. I watch that and it makes me nostalgic because it makes me almost forget what the film is. And every time I watch this little trailer, I'm like taken back to like seeing it for the first time. It's so weird. It's like it's really hard to describe. Every time I see this, I'm like, yep, I'm sold. I want to see Jurassic Park 3. When does it come out?
Oh gosh. I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, there's a specific one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it because I'm looking up Jurassic Park 3 trailer and all I'm getting is Fallen Kingdom.
Let me see if I can find it then, actually. If it may have been one of the TV spots.
Oh yeah, I think that was it.
Give me 1 second.
God, it's so good. I love it.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the ones that I excited to see the movie.
That's right.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that got me excited to see the movie. I remember that one.
That's my favourite trailer from Jurassic Park 3, and that is literally the highest quality I've been able to find it.
Check this one out I just sent you, because I think you might
Oh, I'm literally watching this one.
Was abandoned. The experiment was terminated. They thought nothing had survived. they were wrong.
Oh my god. Wait, he's coming back!
Jurassic Park 3. Rated PG-13. Park 3.
Oh, that's a cool trailer. You know what? That opening of that trailer, you know,
Yeah.
you could almost apply that to certain information that has been released recently.
That's why that's why I was
The experiment terminated. Yeah, I have seen all these trailers before, but it was so what I was getting to just before we wrap up was like that Wonder trailer. You know, the one I just sent you where the music was like na, 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 na. I can't remember what film someone said that music was from. That makes me more nostalgic for Jurassic Park 3 than the actual trailer, or than the one people know, you know, a lot more. And it also that I watch that now, and for whatever reason that takes me back to
2001.
Yeah, to like maybe even like 2000, to like that whole time period of like, oh, I know it's coming. Why I find nostalgia interesting, why I find it so fascinating, like the nostalgia and its relationship to Jurassic Park, is because the very story of Jurassic Park is about bringing something back from the past, and how if you bring it back from the past, it's not ever going to be exactly the same.
That's a good point.
It's like the whole storyline and premise and themes of Jurassic revolve around nostalgia. That's why, you know, the characters even blatantly talk about it. And then you've got, when we get to like the end of Jurassic World, you've got the almost symbolic fight between the new creature that has been made, you know, by corporate hands to sell to the park, you know, audiences, and also to the audiences of the cinema, versus the two main prevalent creatures that people would be most nostalgic about, which is the T-Rex and the Raptor.
Right.
So I find that my fascination with like looking at nostalgia and talking about it and tackling it in ways I do on this channel and all that sort of stuff is directly linked to my fascination with Jurassic Park, and I feel like they're almost symbiotic in that sense. That like I look back on people's thoughts and opinions on this franchise through the lens of, okay, but nostalgia is a very funny thing, and it comes from different people's different opinions and all this sort of stuff. So like, what is really going on here? And that's why I just thought it was interesting to talk about.
It did a really good job, especially, and there's a whole subtext of Jurassic World and how it handles. It is contemplating its own existence to a degree.
It's meta in that sense. Yeah.
And I think out of all of them of that year and of the 2010s, Jurassic World, I feel is it's the one movie and franchise that's been revitalized that I feel has something to say. And
it definitely does.
It appeals to everyone's nostalgia with those movies, and also is aware of what it is. And I think it elevates not only itself as a film, but the previous trilogy feels like the stepping stones to, and this might sound like heresy, but it sounds like stepping stones to the real story, which is Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and whatever they do next.
It's sort of an inadvertently become that, because obviously when they were making those films back in the day, they weren't thinking, how are we going to get to Jurassic World?
Exactly.
it's worked out that way, and and I'm with you on that. I think like that you're completely right. Like the way it's turned out is they are now the stepping stones to where the story is going to go going forward. And the Jurassic has that unique way about it that it incorporates everyone. It's like a family. I call them family adventure movies, and I know there's some people out there who really don't like when it's called that. It's like, hey, I saw this movie when I was 4 with my mum, And my family and I, we love, like, they're just family movies. They bring everyone together, and they're scary, yes, for kids, but they're also scary for some parents. They induce insightful discussions about, like, the morals of greed and just all facets of, like, what I was saying, like nostalgia, trying to bring something back from the past. Will it ever be the same? You know, this goes with, like, that ties into Jurassic World entirely, because Jurassic World was bringing this franchise back, and there's people out there hoping and expecting it to be, you know, to look and feel exactly like the original, because that's what they were hoping for. And it's like, you realise that films are a product of the world they come from. So Jurassic World was never ever going to feel exactly like the first film.
There's no way that would happen.
Yeah, and the only way that can happen is you pop that old Jurassic Park video in and you watch it. Like, you go back to that time and you revisit it. There you go. I hope that makes some sense to people out there.
Yeah, I understand completely.
Going in deep, John. Going in deep. Getting too old for this shit. But yeah, anyway. There you go.